There is a huge shift in the balance of power in the region as a result of that mistake that they've done. Temporary ceasefire is being respected, that we get our hostages back. We are going to enter into new negotiations. We are not going to allow Hamas to rearm and regroup. I hope that with the entrance of the new administration in the United States, more pressure would be put on Iran to try to make them change course and stop constituting that threat on countries in our region. Prime Minister Netanyahu and Prime Minister Modi met in 2017 and 18. A long time has passed. I hope that they will meet again soon. We have to stabilize things in Israel. The Israelis are those who love India the most compared to any country in the world. The United States is a stabilizer in the region, is a promoter of democracy, of peace, of stability, of security. The United States didn't come to this region in order to take over countries.
At a time when the entire world is discussing the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, we have the honor of having here with us in the Free Press Journal studio Ambassador Reuven Azar, who has come in August 2024 as the Israeli envoy to India. I have the honor and the pleasure to welcome Ambassador Reuven. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Frida. I'm thrilled to be here in Mumbai.
I want to begin by asking you that your country has been in international headlines for a very long time now. We know the reasons for that. But now we are reaching a juncture where it seems as if things are coming to a closure. But not everyone is sure whether this is a closure to the conflict. Tell us about the ceasefire agreement deal. There are multiple reports. There is even one that says, well, Mr. Netanyahu has not committed to anything. It's only the Qatar Prime Minister and US that has made this announcement. Israel is yet to make a formal announcement. Tell us, what exactly does this ceasefire agreement mean? Does this mean it's the beginning of the end of the conflict?
Well, it is indeed a significant juncture. We are still not announcing it because our cabinet has to approve it. But basically, we are reaching this juncture at a point in which there is a huge regional change. We have started, or Hamas has initiated the 7th of October doing this terrible massacre. And there was a huge miscalculation done by the Iran Axis and their proxies. They thought that they can suffocate Israel, they can finish Israel. And what Israel has done is it has decimated the military machine of Hamas in the Gaza Strip. They are no longer capable of firing thousands of rockets on our cities. They don't have their factories. They don't have their intelligence capabilities. We have killed more than 20,000 terrorists. We have completely decimated the capabilities of Hezbollah in the north. Maybe not completely, but it was a very, very serious blow. We've taken out Nasrallah, who was one of the main figures in the axis of Iran. As a result of that, Syria also collapsed. The Iranians got completely exposed because we took out their air defenses, and they understand they are vulnerable. There is a huge shift in the balance of power in the region as a result of that mistake that they've done. Now, yes, we are not yet in closure because, first of all, we have to see that this temporary ceasefire is being respected, that we get our hostages back. We are going to enter into new negotiations to see whether we can have a second and a third phase according to the path that was approved by President Biden and by the UN Security Council. But at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. We'll have to see that they follow through. We are not going to allow Hamas to rearm and regroup.
Yeah, you're saying that you're coming from a position of power. You've reached a point where you can think of coming to a ceasefire deal, and you're saying it could be temporary. But I want to understand from you that you mentioned the Hamas, the Houthis, the Hezbollah. What about Iran? Do you see that there's a continued threat from Iran? Because, the world doesn't know what is its nuclear capability, how close or far it is from a nuclear weapon. What is the assessment, since Israel considers Iran the axis of evil, so to speak?
Iran, unfortunately, still constitutes one of the most dangerous threats to the region, not just for Israel, but for other countries in the region, especially the pragmatic countries that want to concentrate in stability and prosperity, because they are promoting their radical agenda and they are aspiring to get nuclear weapons, despite the fact that they are members of the NPT. It's completely ridiculous. I think that now they understand that the world is not going to cooperate with that. They are in a weaker position, but we cannot underestimate that because that can change. I hope that with the entrance of the new administration in the United States, more pressure will be put on Iran to try to make them change course and stop constituting that threat on countries in our region.
You were part of Israel, US, China task force, right? Prior to this, you were also you actually were leading very critical, important missions. You were also ambassador to the United States.
DCM.
To the DCM, yes, and also advisor, foreign policy advisor to Prime Minister Netanyahu. Therefore, I want to understand from you at this point of time, to what extent, when people say, well, Israel has the might and the support of the United States, after all, there's a regime change. And many are also now saying that, well, this has been prompted by the regime change. So with Trump coming in, what changes in this entire scenario?
Well, we have found always a way to work with any American administration, whether it be Republican or Democrat. Yeah, from time to time, we can have differences. That's very natural between friends. We are sincere in the way that we debate them. But at the end of the day, we always get to a compromise and to a solution. So we managed to do that with the Biden administration. We've done that with the previous Trump administration, and I'm sure we're going to do it also with the incoming administration. President Trump had an amazing role in securing Israel's future by recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, by recognizing our sovereignty over the Golan Heights. And one of the things he did at the end of his administration is that he transferred Israel to the responsibility, regional responsibility of CENTCOM. That's the Central Command of the United States Army. So what is happening now is that during this conflict that we had in the last 15 months, we've been coordinating with the US Regional Command. And as you've seen, for example, the result was that the skies of the Middle East were secure from the Iranian missile attacks. That's why there is a success here. We are coordinating our security. So there is a political echelon, there is a security echelon that is bringing stability to the region, that is coping with threats, and we hope that on those two building blocks, we're going to have also the economic echelon. So we are looking forward that after this conflict is over, we will reassume the processes to expand the Abraham Accords, to implement initiatives like IMEC, like I2U2. I think that India could have a great role in that because India is a rising global force. It has a very vibrant economy. Yes. It needs to be connected to Europe, and we can do great things together.
It is India's second largest trading partner in Asia. So Israel and India have enjoyed great friendship. It's a great trading partner. The relationship has been robust also with the two prime ministers being friends. But before I get to that, I want to draw from what you just said. Are you saying that United States needs Israel just as much as Israel needs US because you have that foothold in this region and you are holding fort, so to speak? Is that what you're saying, that it's...
Israel is a small country, okay? It's not nearly the size neither of the United States and for sure not the size of India.
Yes.
But we tend to sort of kick above our weight because we have this capability, not only on the defense side, but also, and this relationship with India on defense has been very robust, but also on technology. Yes. So one of the things that are driving more and more countries, including in the Middle East, closer to us, is because they see the benefits of their cooperation with us on intelligence, on operations, on defense, and of course on technology as well. And that's why I'm very optimistic that 2025 will be a very, very good and important year, not only for the region, but also for the relations with India, where we're going to have very soon, in a few weeks, a huge delegation of businessmen coming here at the invitation of Minister Goyal.
Is Prime Minister Netanyahu planning a visit?
Well, I hope. Look, we have to first stabilize the situation. As you know, Prime Minister Netanyahu and Prime Minister Modi met in 2017 and 18. A long time has passed. I hope that they will meet again soon. We have to stabilize things in Israel, both on the security side and also politically. We have to see that things are well set. And of course, then the sky is the limit.
Yeah. Since you came in August 2024, what exactly have you explored? What are the things on your agenda right now as the Israeli envoy to India?
Well, I'm thrilled to discover India. This is a great country, both not only economically and politically, but also culturally. Israelis love India. I just tweeted this morning that actually, according to this internet site, World Statistics, the Israelis are those who love India the most compared to any country in the world. Okay.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. That's a good headline.
So there's a lot of admiration. I think we have common challenges and we have common opportunities. The challenges we spoke about, we know them very well. We've been dealing with them for many years. On the opportunity side, we have a lot of things to do together on technology, on infrastructure. So I've been concentrating in see how, first of all, as governments, we can create the platforms that will allow more business to come here, and on the business side, to bring people together. So this is what we're doing. We have a great consulate here in Mumbai, a great consul general. Kobi Shoshani is doing a great work. And I came here also to learn from him.
How is Mumbai treating you? Are you liking it?
Great.
I want to, quickly just get a bit about Gaza, because these are the questions that are going to come up again and again. Whether Israel will help rebuild Gaza, because 90% of the population has been displaced. There is a humanitarian crisis, which, of course, the world knows of. So, to what extent can we now expect, that crisis also to be addressed by Israel? Because let's face it, of course, we know the Israeli line about how this was about 7th of October and how that should never happen again. And you face hostility from all directions, and you had to sort of make a statement about how you protect your country, and this was part of that. But at the end of it, Israel is also looked at as an aggressor because of the number of civilian killings that have happened. My question is Israel going to help rebuild infrastructure in Gaza, help those people return home? What is the exact plan of action when it comes to this ceasefire deal?
Well, no doubt that this has been a very tragic conflict, okay? And every loss of life is a loss of life, regardless whether it's Israeli, Palestinian, or any other. The problem is that the terrorist organizations, they don't care about civilians, you see? So you cannot be in a situation that you have to care more about civilians. They do, but that's a fact. During the conflict, we've been facilitating the entrance of humanitarian aid, despite the fact that we knew that the terrorists are taking this aid hostage, and through the aid, they are controlling the population. So not only they have taken innocent Israeli civilians hostage, not only that they have taken the aid hostage, they have taken their own population hostage. So there are two scenarios here. If we go on a scenario that Hamas remains in control, that will limit very much the extent that Gaza can be reconstructed. Not because we are not going to facilitate that. It's because the world won't go and invest in a regime that is controlled by a terrorist organization. So we have to make a decision here. Yeah. Okay? Not only as Israel, we have to make the decision whether we can continue with this path, but also the other regional players and the international community will have to make a decision. We are determined to get rid of these terrorists because we understand that while Gaza is controlled by Hamas, you will have radical Islamic indoctrination, and they are going to sequester anything that they can in order to relaunch an attack on Israel. This is something that we're not capable, not willing to accept. So in that context, as you said, this is a significant juncture, but this is not closure.
I'll also be a devil's advocate and ask you the questions that is asked of Israel, whether it is falling or acting as a pawn to the United States and its expansionist policies, because it needs this region to be under its grip. So whether Israel is actually being, so to speak, used for that purpose by the United States, how do you respond to those things? Because there's a contradiction when the United States blames Russia and Putin for those same expansionist policies, but it seems the US does the same.
Well, I disagree completely. The United States is a stabilizer in the region, is a promoter of democracy, of peace, of stability, of security. The United States didn't come to this region in order to take over countries, okay? And you've seen this very clearly. Even after they did what they did in Iraq or in other places, they withdrew. Okay, the idea here is to try to fight radicalism. What is happening in West Asia, as you call it, or the Middle East, is that you have endemic problems that are very difficult to solve. It's an explosion of population and demographic overpopulation, lack of resources, radicalism, tribalism, corruption. All these things are creating, it's like a volcano that is erupting, and you are seeing the result of that all over the world. So this is a global problem. This is not just something that, is a result of some kind of expansionist policies. No. So we have to deal with the real problem. And the reason that powers in the world are coming back to deal with this region is not because they want.
As somebody who was an advisor, foreign policy advisor to Prime Minister Netanyahu, I take your word for it, and of course it matters, the statements that are coming from somebody in your position. In conclusion, I want to ask you, because you said there's a lot of people-to-people contact, there's great bonhomie. Yuval Harari is so popular here, your author who's one of the famous Israelis in India. What exactly are you thinking of initiating to increase this sort of bonhomie, friendship among the people, not just politically?
Right. So look, we already have 3 pillars of our economic cooperation: the defense industry, the water, agriculture, food nexus. Here we've done a lot together with the Indian government. We have affected millions of lives, millions of farmers through the agricultural technologies that were, promoted through the centers of excellence to the Indian government. So many Indians have felt Israelis on the day-to-day life. On the high-tech sector, we are already, starting some cooperation. We have a mutual fund. We have our universities coming here. Only last week, I met the head of the Ben Gurion University, which is probably the highest host of Indian doctorates and postdoctorates in Israel. We want to increase the academic cooperation between Israel and India. We believe this is a great way not only to promote R&D, but also to bring people together. Yeah. The same is with the business sector. As I said, we're going to host the largest ever delegation of Israeli companies that is coming next month. And there are cultural things, like, we participate in many festivals. Mumbai has, the consulate has a great role also in promoting film co-production. We want to do more. And
that will be interesting. We want to see more Israeli movies, more collaborations.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's people to people. The people do the relationship. It's not just the embassies. We can be a facilitator, but at the end of the day, it's the citizens, it's the Israelis that are coming here as tourists. Yeah. The spiritual connection, you guys.
I think a lot of goodwill was generated also with the Haifa port, and the fact that there was.
The fact that you have significant players in our economy is very important. So Adani port is a very important start. Mm. What we want to do is to bring infrastructure companies to build Israel. You guys are developing your country. We, for example, want to build a 100-kilometer metro system in the greater Tel Aviv area. You already built 1,000 kilometers of metro. So we want Indian companies to be contenders in our international tenders. We want Indian workers. We started this year from 0. We are already at 16,000 Indian workers. We want to go up even more. So there are hiccups with that because it's a start.
So peace returns to the region, and I guess everything.
Israel is already pretty secure. 15 months ago, we were threatened by hundreds of thousands of missiles. But thank God and thanks to our defense systems and our defense forces, we have managed to neutralize that. The Israeli economy is fully functioning. It's very vibrant. It's actually growing. Even during the war, it has continued to grow. So we have a lot to offer. You guys have a lot to offer. We just have to do it together.
On that note, Ambassador Reuven, thank you so much for joining us here on Free Press Journal. It was an absolute pleasure to host you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Frida.